I fully concede some degree of automation and robotics will make that difficult, right? Reshoring 5 million is out of the question, most likely. But even Bloomberg, which I take as kind of a pretty globalist leaning organization, even they were forced to admit, this was a couple months ago on the morning show, forced to admit that Apple, an assembly technician, right? So not a plant engineer, nothing crazy, not a supervisor, just a technician, US based, the salary was $112,000 per year. So, these are in the medium to long term, there is a world where inflation is rising at say 5 or 6%, because this will be very inflationary, especially if you mix it with negative real rates and all the bill dynamics. Both of those are inflationary, weaker dollar and that. So, there is a world though where inflation is 5%, but real wage gains are 8 or 9. And that's what I would hope to see, because going back to the silent depression stuff, like, the average hourly wage priced in gold has declined by 80%, going back to 2000. So just since .com, just since the Y2K and all that, just then since then, the real purchasing power of the average hourly wage has declined by 80% if you measure it in gold. And if you look at personal income divided by M2 money supply, that's fallen, I think, 30%. So again, in real purchasing power terms, the average American has been getting just decimated for decades. And a lot of the turning points in my chart happen to be that early 2000s. And I think it's not a coincidence that China was admitted into the World Trade Organization in December 2001. And that's when deaths of despair, like literally to the year, that is when deaths of despair just went vertical. And that is when, these measures of real purchasing power wages started to decline. And personal savings has been declining. So I would argue that, there are short-term consequences to a weaker dollar, whether that's via just kind of policy or via an explicit accord. Of course, there's consequences short-term, but, my hope would be that medium to long term, you would see kind of a de-financialization of the economy and a return towards a much more net productive economy that is not, based around a bunch of people writing algorithms for high frequency trading firms, making, millions and millions and millions, hedge fund managers, right? But reorient around kind of actual useful productive capacity, because whether it's, kind of the medicine that I mentioned, 65% of active pharmaceutical ingredients, you look at chips and electronics, some of these key industry, like this is a national security emergency, in my opinion.